Grace and peace and praise the Lord. We are excited this afternoon. We are having our 50th Jubilee Roundtable with many of our members that have been with Greater Christ Temple for quite some time, and I am privileged to interview them this afternoon. My name is Sister Javara Foster. So the first question, I will ask each of you to introduce yourself and answer how long you have been with Greater Christ Temple. So we'll start with Elder Nimmons.
Elder Charles Nimmons. I've been with Greater Christ Temple. I started in 1985. And I left, though, in 2000, but I came back in 2018.
I'm Evangelist Jackie Nimmons. I've been with Greater Christ Temple since 1979, and I left in 1999 and came back in 2018.
I'm Sister Cheryl Richardson. I've been there from 1976 to the present, 2024.
I'm Evangelist Charlotte Moore. I've been with Greater Christ Temple since 1984, and after leaving, came back in 2012.
My name is Evangelist Candace Belmer. I was saved March 3rd, March 5th, March 8th. Of 1983, so about 42 years.
I'm Deacon Clifford Belmer. I joined Greater Christ Temple in '84. I've been here 40 years.
I'm Minister Payne, Amanda Payne. I've been at Greater Christ Temple since 1976. 1976.
I'm Evangelist Linda Griffin. Got saved in 1969, joined Greater Christ Temple at 1984.
Elder Larry Griffin. I joined Greater Christ Temple in 1993. I guess I'm the baby of the crowd.
Amen. We thank you for that rich history that we have. So how did or do you serve at Greater Christ Temple? And we can choose however you want to answer if anyone wants to go first, but not everyone has to answer. So how did or do you serve at Greater Christ Temple? Start with Evangelist
Okay,
Moore.
I'll start. At the present time, I'm serving as one of the I don't want to use the word facilitators, but myself and this wonderful lady next to me, we serve in regards to the altar ministry team at the church. It's amazing that I'm doing that now, because prior to leaving, and that was due to, my husband pastoring, I was serving under the music ministry. So, but now, one of the ministers of the staff, of course, and then also serving as an altar ministry person with the altar ministry.
When I first came to Greater Christ Temple, I served as the choir directress for our main choir at Greater Christ Temple, and then I proceeded to be the choir directress for the Sunday school choir, and then I helped start the children's church at Greater Christ Temple, and I worked in some capacities, and then I proceeded to be one of the altar workers here at Greater Christ Temple. So, and now I'm still working with the altar team.
I began working actually with the choir, just singing as a choir member, and then when Evangelist Moore came, I began to be one of the directors of the choir, and at the same time I started to teach Sunday school, and then during that time, Pastor Thompson had asked me to take over the clerk duties of the church. So then I became a clerk of the church. And a little bit after that appointment, he actually appointed me as administrator of the church, probably along about 1999, somewhere thereabouts. He gave me more responsibility of the church secretary, whatever. I mean, he would call me in and I would take notes. I got a letter for you to do. And so I was able to refresh my shorthand and my longhand as he dictated letters to me. And then, of course, I'm part of the Ministerial Alliance, the altar workers, and that's just about it. Anybody can think of anything else, whatever.
You wear many hats.
Thank you. God's good.
Presently, I am a deacon at Greater Christ Temple, and I'm also on the board, church developer on the board.
Does anyone else want to share?
I came to started here in 1985, and I was made deacon in 1986, and between that time I had helped out with Deacon Clifford Belmer. I helped him out in the sound room. I was over Sunday school for 5 years, from 1995 to 2000. I was the deacon all the way up until 2006, and in 2007, I got my elder's license and been serving in ministry up until now.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Elder Griffin, when I first came, I just started out as a helper. Whatever needed to be done, I was willing to do. Then got my ministerial license. Bishop Thompson told me to prepare to get my ministerial license. Did that, then got my elder's license, and then I was just willing to do whatever needed to be done. And to my unbeknownst, one Sunday morning, I was announced as associate pastor. And then now I'm currently Sunday school superintendent, chairman of the board, the Greater Christ Temple board, and still willing to do whatever I need to do under our new leadership.
Amen.
Awesome, awesome.
I came in with Bishop Thompson. I'm the daughter, so I wasn't old enough to get in the choir or anything yet. I was still too young. But once I got there, I ended up being a choir member, singing in the choir along with my sister, directing. And then as time went on, I got older. And I got old enough to help with the music ministry, Sister Griffin. And then when Sister Griffin left me, I ended up being the music administrator over the music department. But at that point, I was there to just to administer all the choirs, musicians, etc. but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It's amazing when you're taking me back so far to realize that those years were very special to me, to the family, to the children. I was afraid I was going to get choked up from doing this because it's taken me back so far, so far. But at that point, like I said, I did the music ministry, came here, did the music ministry up until 2011, and I've been here ever since.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. I'm not being interviewed, but I will share that Sister Richardson was the first one to approach me when I joined the choir. So it was right after Bishop announced that I was a member at a Tuesday night Bible study. And she's the first one that came up to me and she's like, would you like to join the choir? Even though she didn't know if I could sing or not, but she welcomed me. So I appreciate that. So thank you for sharing. Sister Belmore, Sister Payne, would you like to share?
When I joined, well, I was on and off in 76 because I had just came out of high school. Choir. I worked with the women's ministry. I worked with the kitchen staff, still part of the kitchen staff. I worked with Evangelist Griffin for a while. Was her assistant administrator when we first came over to, can you think it? 701 Sunbury. I was her administrator for a little while. That's it.
Mr. Belmore?
I just seem like I've just kind of been active in a lot of different areas, but I love Sunday school. It's number one, it seems like. And then when I first came here, I had no experience really with singing or anything. And I immediately joined the choir, got in the choir. And that's where I learned how to pray and learned many things. Then after that, I was always a seamstress for Mother Thompson. And she would just draw a picture of what she wanted. And I'm like Sister Richardson, I didn't think I could do this either. Whew. But I love them. And I just always wanted her to look so nice. And whatever she needed, it just was just a beautiful relationship. And all down through the years, she would just tell me what she wanted. Just basically, and then I came to go to class. That was back with the papers, fellowship papers first, and then that was over at the old church, and then when we came over here, associated with Dean Holloway in the college here, with for the license. So as an evangelist, I don't know what year that was, but a long time ago. But I just thank the Lord for Greater Christ Temple, because I came here, I didn't know anything about God, but they always treated me as just family. I even worked in the same cubicle as Sister Richardson, and it's for a purpose. But everybody would come by and ask me, "Are you one of the daughters? Are you one of the daughters?" And I'd say no, but just whatever capacity, God would use me in. I felt like, Bishop Thompson would always make all of us feel like we were the only child. And he told us we are spoiled. We were really spoiled, and we were very spoiled. And we knew that. And we were all just so close. So I have many, many memories, but that was what I would do. So with my sister, she was an usher on the door. Bishop Thompson just loved her smile, and he wanted that the first person that people would meet. And so we've always been associated with the doors here, so to speak, the entrance and who comes in, and so that's me.
Some beautiful, beautiful memories, and it's okay. So the memories are so beautiful. If your tears are released, it's okay. It's honoring the past. And thank you, Minister Belmer, for even sharing the part about being a seamstress. Mother Clora Thompson was definitely a classy lady. Every Sunday, from head to toe, she was beautifully dressed, and we will definitely cherish that memory and that legacy. Absolutely.
Hats to heels. Mm-hmm. The hats and the shoes. That was sharp.
Beautiful, beautiful. Would anyone like to share what led you to become a member of GCT? I know some it's because your parents were the pastor and first lady, but if anyone would like to share maybe why or what led them to become a member of Greater Christ Temple.
Well, I would like to share. When I was alone with my two little children, my children, I was sending them to another church, but I wouldn't go. It was Vacation Bible School. And some things happened there, and I wouldn't go back. And I called my father, which was a friend of Bishop Thompson, and they were in the council. And ever since I've known Elder Thompson, he was Elder Thompson at that time, and I've known him ever since I was 5 years old. There's a picture of me going up the steps of King's Temple in Marion, Ohio, my father walking me down the steps holding me because I was afraid of heights. And I don't know where that picture is. I've been trying to find that picture. I knew my parents had it in their pictures, but I can't find it. But I was just a little thing, and we were going to church. And my father was very active in the Southern Ohio District, is that what they called it? Mm-hmm. At the time. And I stopped going to church during that time. My children were small. Jamar and Iris was very small. And my dad called Elder Thompson. And the next call, and then I got a call, and it was Elder Thompson on the phone. He said, "Jackie, this is Uncle John." So I said, "Uncle John." He said, "Elder Thompson, your dad called me." And I said, "Oh my goodness." So I'm in trouble now. So he told me he wanted me to get on the highway and drive up here. He said, I was living in Delaware. He said, "I want you to drive down 23, go to Broad Street, turn right, and then there's an overpass railroad track, and underneath you'll see McDowell Street, turn left, and that's the church."
In the Greater Christ Temple, actually by way of one of my brethren that was in Chillicothe. I used to belong to a church called Bethelville Gospel Church in Chillicothe, and I was working in Chillicothe, and my job phased out. So I went about looking for a job in Chillicothe, and all kind of excuses that were being made why I was not too qualified or underqualified, but it was mainly something else, which I won't say in this session. But so it was Brother Dennis Ezell, and he said, "Sis," he says, I think I found you a church in Columbus because I end up getting a job here in Columbus." He said, "I think I found a church for you." He said, "Are you familiar with Elder Thompson's church, Greater Christ Temple?" And I believe that Elder Thompson had visited Bethel, so I was vaguely familiar. So I said, "Well, let me just go and check it out." But so I was actually traveling back and forth. I was coming from Chillicothe, then up to the church. I visited the second time I visited. I was sitting in the service, and in my mind, I thought, I'm going back to Chillicothe, and I'm not coming back. And it seems like Bishop must have heard my thoughts. And at that time, he said, "We have a family that's joining today. And so that was it. It was 1984, I believe it was September. During that time, me and my kids, we were going back and forth. I would go to work here in Columbus, go back home, pick the children up, come back for Bible study. And then on Sundays, of course, we would come up here and stay for the fellowship service, the Friendship with Jesus songs and the fellowship dinners and things like that. But one thing I do want to add with regards to Bishop Thompson, Elder Thompson at that time, and Mother Thompson, when the youngest daughter, Kaz, she had hydrocephalus, and she had to have brain surgery and a tube inserted. And I remember I was so devastated because they had to take a big chunk of her hair for the surgery. And when we came to church, and Mother pulled me to the side. She says, daughter, she said, you bring her over to me, and we're going to fix it, because Mother was a beautician. And she had my daughter's hair rocking. I mean, the side swoop with the hair and things like that. But they were always so personable, and always like Jackie said, it was a mom and dad. And I had been searching for probably a father figure because of some things that went on in my household. My dad had passed away in 1969 when I was saved. My dad passed away, but our relationship wasn't good. But Elder Thompson had a way of drawing people. I did not come to Greater Christ Temple because of the members. I actually accepted the invitation because of Elder Thompson and Mother Thompson. They were loving, they were kind, and I was young, and I needed that personal attention, and they never failed to give us that personal attention. Hospitality opened their doors. It was nothing. We never had to feel like we were stepping on anybody's toes or that we were invading anybody's property or area. It was open house. And I do remember this, and I will be quiet. I remember Elder Thompson saying that hugging was therapy. And he said, we hug here. And so that's where I got, you never know the power of a hug. So he brought that into my life as well. And I will never regret being called up that day by surprise, 1984, by Elder Thompson. So it was 1984.
Well, how I started at Greater Christ Temple was a dream. I had just graduated high school in 1976, and I seen this old building with those steep stairs, and everything in there was red. And I'm like, okay, Lord, don't know what this means. I was in church prior to coming to Greater Christ Temple, but church hurt is nothing like church hurt. So I started coming and sitting in the back. And then I kept coming. Bishop came down then, elder then. He came down, he says, I don't know what it is or what's going on. He said, but you're right where you need to be. So I had stopped coming for a little while again. I get this phone call. Where you been? Well, I didn't drive. I did not get my license until I was 32. Yeah, and when I started driving, I was driving illegal. I drove 2 years before I got my license. So when he called me, he says, if I have to, I'm coming to pick you up for Bible study. I'm coming to pick you up for church. Who showed up at my house? And that orange, I can't remember it was a Cadillac. Yeah. He would come and pick me and Michelle up to make sure that I was at church. He loved me when I didn't feel lovable. He encouraged me and told me things when people did not understand what was going on. Sorry. In my life, it was so many times. Even when we was on McDowell, I had thought about leaving because so many people, they don't care how they treat you. People don't understand how to talk to you and approach you. But when I say pastor approached me, he approached me, and that's why I'm here where I'm at today. If it hadn't been for the love shown to me, I don't know where I would be.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amen. We thank God. I know the mission at the old church was the Church of Love and Faith, and it was truly that testament that you could feel, you know, with especially coming from the leader, from Bishop Thompson, and how he made everyone feel special and seen. So we thank you for sharing it. Anyone else want to share on that one?
Yes. I came to Greater Christ Temple after I came to Columbus on a scholarship for football. I played at Ohio State, 2 years under Woody, 2 years under Earl Bruce. I from childhood, I was always in church. But we went to Oberlin, Ohio, to Elder George Grady Benton's church in Oberlin, and that was about an hour from Mansfield going towards Cleveland. But when I came here on the scholarship, and after feeling used because of things in my life from that, I was just kind of like not going to church when I was there and going into a backslidden position, you know, and when you're in that position, you don't have any direction. You're just kind of out there going about your way. So I remember calling Elder George Grady Benton, which was like a father to me, and I remember saying, I need a church. And I said, and I don't want to go to a big church. I want to be able to go to a church where I can interact with the pastor and a small congregation family. And he told me, he said, go to 79 McDowell and go see Elder John Thompson and tell him I sent you. And I did that. And I remember coming into the church, and you know, the adversary doesn't want you to get back to where you were in the Lord. And I came into the church, and Greater Christ Temple was in need of some love structurally and all sorts of things. So when I came in and I was looking, I remember seeing plastic hanging over because it was leaking in the church. And it just wasn't like that when you open the door and you come in and you go, oh, wow, man, this is nice. You like go, oh, man, what's going on here? So I'm one of those kind of people who always want to fix everything. So in my mind, I was struggling, seeing all the stuff that needed, and it was really trying to keep me from hearing the word. And I remember sitting about midway in service and still looking at things, but when Pastor Elder John Thompson got up and he started preaching, and everything just kind of like went away visually and started ministering to the healing.
With that Spirit of God abiding within, we find ourselves.
So I said, if the adversary is battling me so hard with what he was bombarding me with, I knew that that was where I was supposed to be. And I remember coming here in times where I just needed someone to talk to. And Bishop Thompson could meet you where you were at.
Yes.
And he loved me like a son. But he also was a spiritual father. He was like my father. He just knew where to meet you where you were at that time. It didn't matter. And he would always speak to you from the Word. He never came at you with an ideology, what he thought. He would give you the Word. And the Word would build you up. And I was in love with Bishop Thompson and the family. Evangelist Charlotte Moore took me in like a little brother, put me under her arms, and she was very instrumental too. So I knew then that this is where I was going to be from that point moving forward. And the Lord has just blessed and kept. And even today, doesn't matter what it looks like, Pastor would always just say they were healed as they went. And that's what I hang on to. So, that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? And I think what Deacon Belmer just talking about the structure of 79 McDowell. And so we have a couple questions about 79 McDowell, and then we'll also talk about 701 Sunbury. So do you remember the efforts that were put in place to pay off 79 McDowell? Does anyone want to share?
Actually, I'll tell you what my portion was of this. When I was clerk, at one point in time, Bishop called me to the side and he says, "I want you to start taking over the mortgage payments." We didn't need me personally, but he said, "I want you to be responsible." Okay. He wanted me to be responsible for making sure that they got out timely and all that sort of thing, because his hands were full. And, of course, I started to do that. And as I think that I did it for maybe 2 or 3 years or more, and the balance was going down. And so I approached Bishop or Elder back in the office, and I said, Elder Thompson, I said, "There's not that much more money that needs to be paid on this building. Why can't we just, pay it off?" And he didn't want to do a mortgage burning, but he said, "Well, I tell you what." Now Elder Griffin had come in the picture at that time, so it was even about 1995 or something like that, and he gave us directions. So he said, "I want you to go ahead and do this. We're going to make out a check. We're going to pay off the building." And he gave us directions. We ended up going out in the country.
Plain City.
But it was back in the boonies. It was a lady who actually that we were paying, to, and we went ahead and paid off the mortgage, got the title, went into her trailer. She looked like she was scared of us, but it was okay. So Elder and I made that trip, paid off the mortgage, and the rest is history. And Elder said, "No, I don't want to. We're not going to do a mortgage burning, because I think we've been paying it for a while." But we paid off the mortgage at 79 McDowell. I think it was 1995, 1996 it was paid off.
Yeah, about that time before all that happened, I had approached this girl Thompson about the building, and I just saw a bunch of things that need to be done in the building, and so I asked him if we can did we have a building fund or something? He said, no. You want to do it? And so we started up a building fund. And I think one of our first projects was a calendar. And so in this calendar, we had pictures of each and every auxiliary. We had pictures of all the officers. And they were all like, 1 month would be like the choir, 1 month would be Sunday school department. And Elder Nimmons was the superintendent at the time. And so I think we did it for a couple of years. We used to do that project, and it did pretty good. Everybody enjoyed it, especially looking at the pictures. Every month would be somebody else. And so that was one project we did. And then we did a couple other, but eventually we got to the point where we could go and pay off that mortgage. And we wasn't married at the time, but
Sister Richardson said.
Pastor Thompson said, well, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get with Sister Lee, and you two get together, and y'all take care of everything. I said, okay.
He was a matchmaker, too.
And so all that was history.
But you remember, too, that Bishop was always proud during the course of this that he will always speak well of the congregation, that we weren't out selling any kind of dinners to raise anything.
No chitlin.
Oh, he loved this, and he tell the folks, what was going on and what we had achieved. He said, and we're not out selling any kind of chicken dinners or any kind of dinners.
Right, that's what
And he loved that.
And also, Mother Thompson, she's the one that really took us to the top with the women.
Oh, $250.
And, and my father, Bishop, was like, she had the women all give, how much? 150 each?
200.
200.
Was it 200?
It was 200.
That's right, she was keeping books.
200. I'm sorry, 200. And then after maybe 10 years, we went down to 100.
150, I thought it was.
No, it went down to 100. Yeah, she said if you can go out to eat, if you go out and buy shoes, go
You can
get your
do
hair
that.
done, put $5 back or pay $5. She gave you 6 months to get your money.
And they marched in with a big sign. They even got the check printed out. Wasn't it a
Yep,
big
got the
check?
check printed out. Yes, we did.
$25,000.
Wow.
The women, just the
the
women.
women.
And they was just, I mean, Bishop was like, what? The women did this?
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful day. You remember that?
Yeah, white
Yes.
hats.
Yes.
And she also took over the pulpit on Women's Day.
Yes, she
She
did.
had her women on the pulpit, her staff and everything, and we had a big service all day long.
All day long.
And she collected that money.
She got it.
Strategic. Yes.
If it was needed, she would get it.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
Mother did not
awesome.
play.
Yeah, she got the window fixtures. Remember the window fixtures?
That's right.
She got
Yeah,
blue carpet, the the pews. When she got redone,
Oh, yes, that's right, the upholstery.
she put the lights in, the chandeliers.
The women's bathroom was remodeled.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember Bishop's vision about the white furniture?
Yes.
And all the brothers got together and painted the furniture white. Everything got painted but the organ. I remember that.
They painted the speaker, though.
They
They painted that speaker
Yeah, we painted the speaker.
for the last,
yeah.
no, just the one.
Beautiful. I think
Yep.
these go into these next questions, so keep rolling. What do you remember most about the building at 79 McDowell, and or who do you remember most from 79 McDowell? So
Birds and the bats. The birds and the bats.
In the rain.
Choir trying to sing, and they're looking at the birds. Oh, Lord. And
That was bad.
I don't know if it was the birds or the bats, but it was both.
There's a little
Because they were
bit of
all
both.
over the place. They were.
And then the
all
bullet
over.
holes. We've got
Yes.
two bullets that came through the windows.
That's true.
You know, because
That's
of the
true.
violence that was going on in the neighborhood.
There is one person I'm remembered of, and I'm seeing their face. And when you brought the pictures today, you were showing Jackie, and this individual is Brother Deacon Snow.
Yes.
I remember he would
Yes.
sit in the back. If there ever was a Christian bouncer, I would name him that, because his statue just really would cause people who didn't belong there, because the church wasn't far from where they were, where anybody could just walk in the building. But I recall when he would stand up to testify, the only thing he would say is, "Thank God for life." And he'd sit back down. But he was just such a pleasant person. And it was like, we know God is there, the presence of God is there, and protection. But to me, it was just something about Deacon Snow. To me, he took his job so seriously. He was never looking to do anything but just make sure he was on his post. And he was on his post. If he did not come to church, you knew something was wrong. You knew something must have been wrong, because it wasn't even like him to miss. But when you mentioned about who do you remember most or what stood out, Deacon Snow just came to my mind. Just a wonderful, wonderful person, a loving God man, I should say. He was special. He was special to me. He was special to 79 McDowell.
Yes.
He had a song. He had a song though.
Absolutely.
Real. He used to sing that song. Real.
Yes, that's right.
He sure did.
He had a song.
You know, if you talk about the actual building of Greater Christ Temple, it was something about the front of the building. Now, as you traveled along the sides, it looked weathered, and and it didn't look but the front with that big stained glass window and the dual doors on the sides, it had this, across the street, there was a stone building, and I became friends with the people there, and his name was Tony Salazzo. And he would tell me that stone on the front of that church is very special stone. I think he told me it came from Israel, the stone that was on that building. But that stone would not weather like the stone on the other side. I don't know if y'all remember, it would get like dark on the sides, but the front just always had this like white glow. And the stained glass, it just like kind of held your attention. You came in, it just had a presence. And then, but when you got into the sanctuary, before all the modifications and stuff were done, and thank the Lord for Deacon Lowe and Deacon Fields.
Yes.
Both of them, they came in there. Pastor had a way of articulating what he wanted. And there's something about being able to hear what the pastor's saying. Because a lot of times people get in their mind what they think it should be. And they grasp a hold of it, and it happened. And the brothers and everyone, when we were moving forward, even in renovating the basement, I mean, the brothers came in there. I remember Elder Ross. Elder Ross, him and I, we were like two players. We kind of always talked and joked with each other. But that brother got a hold of that jackhammer, and I didn't want no part of it. He was on that thing. He was taking out walls and everything. And I just remember we all came together and made it happen. When Bishop wanted to move forward, he knew who to approach, delegate, and because of your love and respect, first of all, for God's house, and then pastor, we just like a bunch of worker bees. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I co-sign that. If you remember the old baptismal pool that was concrete, the Brotherhood took a meeting, and the meeting was consisted of us taking that out or having it taken out, and we were going to put a new one in, the Brotherhood. So naturally, some of the brothers didn't believe in themselves, and they voted no. So I remember Deacon Lowe, he was discouraged, as well as Deacon Fields. So Elder Thompson got, wind of it and was, made known of it. So we ended up having to take another vote, and at this time it passed. So we all up here with a sledgehammer, we busting this stuff up, up here on the pulpit. We had to go through we remodeled the place at least 2 times. I'd be the guy up under the floors, in the holes and stuff like this. So I said, dirt don't, it doesn't scare me.
You were the skinny person. That's why you were able to get noticed.
At that time, I was. So I'd be climbing, I'd be running wires or whatever. But anyway, we got all that torn out. Deacon Lowe, Deacon Fields framed all that up. Yeah. We put a new pool in there. And, for those who were really doubting, it came about and it happened, And the thing was, well, people didn't know, because I was the one cleaning the pool out and stuff. We were running a 2-inch line when it was made new, but it was going down through the kitchen. So I didn't know why at first when I was, cleaning it out. I'm opening the thing wide open. You got a 2-inch line running down into the kitchen that has to exit out from the kitchen. It's going into a 1-inch line. So I go down there to get some water, and what's all this water on the floor, Well, anyway, we found out what it was. So what I had to do was start, just cracking it and letting it drain, because it would take me at least about 3 hours, if not more. But I do my Sunday school lessons, once I got it drained, clean it out, whatever, and fill it back up, So, but yes, we were able to do that. And a lot of stuff we did from within inside. When we did this remodeling and things of this nature, we get the brothers in, we cleaned all the pigeons out upstairs, and those 2 pillars upstairs. All that came about because of the brothers. When you look at the word of love and faith, that's what it was about. The pastor getting faith in the people, in regardless of what it was. As Deacon Belmer was saying, he was like a spiritual father to me, because he was the only pastor I've ever had. And at this point in time, I was younger too. So I would ask him stuff, and he would look at me and he said, never get mad. So I'm trying him, and he will always go to the Word. I don't care what it was. And this impressed me so much for him being my pastor, because I was always trying to be like my father, who was pretty much in the world. So I'm trying to be like my father, like most kids do. But he was my spiritual father. So I was always loved talking to him, and I could just bounce stuff off of him. He would never get mad. But yet still, he was able to always go to the Word. I mean, I don't care what it was, he would go to, and go to the Word. I never seen another pastor like that. I'm not talking bad about any other pastor, but it was what he meant to me in my life. So love and faith, I always remember that, because it was nothing but love, then, and to me, it has even grown even to now. So, I even thank the Lord for the pastor now, because it seems like that's all he does is just show love. And I know where it comes from.
I was thinking about how excited Elder Thompson was. I don't know if he was district elder at that time or not, but when we were looking at the buildings that was close to the church, And so we had a building on, I believe, either side of the church. And he decided to buy the one, I think, was that called the west side or whatever? I don't know which the direction it was. But we were going to make that an annex. So we, south side. So we joined the buildings together. And one of the main reasons for joining the buildings together was so that we'd have Sunday school space. Because we were having Sunday school downstairs and we were having Sunday school up in the sanctuary, and sometimes rather challenging in the prayer room, in the prayer rooms, so we were able to. I know that the teen class that Evangelist Monroe and I taught, we were in that annex, but he was so excited that we were finally able to get classrooms and things like that to buy. We purchased the building. Purchased on both sides, actually. And then one side we made a parking lot. Tore that down, made a parking lot. But Bishop was always, what can you say? He was always looking forward in the futuristic, and just always had ideas, young thinking, always. Maybe that's why he drew so many young people to him, because he had a young mindset about him and always wanting to go forward. But always going forward like Nimmons. I've known you as Deacon Nimmons for so many years. Elder Nimmons said, but always brought us to the Word. Every explanation, it was through the Word. Every counseling, it was through the Word. But those things excited me. The fact that he was so energetic, about doing the things of God and the buildings and things like that. So you can imagine how excited that the board got when Bishop decided we're going to buy this land from Southeast Apostolic, Elder Webster. And I'm telling you, we got together, and it was 6 months. We raised first $50,000. Just like that. I mean, the money's just started pouring in to buy the land. And it was on and crack-a-lacking. So those are things that I would just remember, I get excited about.
Well, for anyone that may not know Bishop and Mother Thompson, and this will be difficult, if you can give one word that best describes them. So does anyone want to go first? And we've already heard so many words already about him being futuristic and,
I would say
spiritual
wisdom.
father.
One.
Amen.
Yes.
I would say integrity.
Yes.
Steadfast.
Yes. Those are good words.
I think he was faithful
Yes.
in what the Lord had given unto him. And a lot of times it's due to, we knew he was having, or had health problems, but he didn't let that demise anything that he ever did. He was definitely a faithful man.
Giver. He was always giving. I don't care what it was. He always was a giver, always concerned about everyone else. And it was so funny because at times when Mother Thompson would say, would you just give away the last? And then she'd turn around and do the same thing. So she was like him as well. But it was so interesting because they both were givers. But yeah, he just gave whatever it was. He wanted to make sure that if anyone did without, it wasn't going to be the people of God. Just because of his concern, as hearing some of you talk about Jackie when she said he drove up to get the kids, you come and stay in at the house over the weekend. I can remember every weekend we just wanted to know what bedroom were we supposed to go in this weekend, because it wasn't a problem. It was who our parents were. We knew that somebody was going to be there that needed help, or someone that they knew needed to be in the city because he didn't want them on the road, or whatever the case may be. So, but just a giver is what comes to mind.
I have two. It goes together. It's unconditional love.
I think visionary is another word, because as he stood out here, you know, he had his hands behind his back, and all by himself, he'd just be, you know, just, you could just see the gaze, you know, and I would say visionary. And we knew that we could follow him. We knew we could follow. I mean, I never questioned anything that he would bring forth, because we knew that he had prayed.
This Elder Thompson, he believed in outreach. I can remember when I first came to Greater Christ Temple. I mean, the church, the outreaching everywhere. Every week you had outreach somewhere. You had a nursing home outreach. You had a street outreach. We was always doing something. And Elder McMillan, and that man, he loved doing that outreach. And I told him I was interested, and he said, "You sure? 'Cause we're going to be busy." I said, in my mind, I was thinking, can't be that busy, ain't that much going on. But we got hooked up with him, man. If he wasn't knocking on doors, he was going to nursing homes. If he wasn't on the corner, I mean, he was doing it all. And I think that's one thing that I kind of miss, because, I mean, every Saturday or every midweek, we were somewhere doing outreach. And Pastor Thompson, he would always encourage, you know, get out there and get involved in outreach. And yeah, it was Elder McMillan and Elder Hale, and yeah, they really had it going on.
Sheep beget sheep. What's it saying? Sheep beget sheep.
Obviously, one word could not encompass everything that Bishop was, but he was humorous. He was humble.
Yes.
He was very modest. He was stern when he needed to be, but with love. He'd be telling you things that other people would try to tell you. It didn't go in the same way. Bishop Thompson, he just loved. He exemplified love. And who wouldn't love him back? He would do things, because I took over things for him when he started getting older. He would still want to do things, but I would say, Bishop Thompson, I don't want you to lift a hand to do nothing. If you need something done, call me and let me know it needs done. Don't even change a light bulb, I would tell him. But there are just so many things, and I mean, we could go on and on and on, but he was just a great man of God.
Yes.
He was a good shepherd.
Yes.
Good shepherd.
With all the words that you guys have picked for Bishop, I think of balance, because he knew how to love you and the church and his family. So we didn't lack. I mean, he was still our counselor. He was still our pastor and our father. And it's just like I was thinking, the ministry, I was going into the ministry of the women's ministry I had done at 79 and singles ministry. But before I went there, I still had a meeting with him. And he says, well, where's your papers? Do you have it all wrote down? Or I said, I got that too. He said, all right, daughter, let's get to it. But, you know, he had to see where I was going, you know, and I respected that. I never overstood, say, I'm your daughter, and I should be able to, no. He didn't roll like that, and I didn't either. You know, because of what they put in us, we knew not to even, you know what I mean? Not to go there. Shirley, stop it. But I thank God for the balance he had where even the grandchildren, they didn't lack. If he had to counsel them, they knew where to come. They knew where to be if there was an issue that needed to be dealt with, and he would be the one to solve it or, make them think about it and give them a word. Like Deacon said, always had a word behind it anyway. So that's what I think of with everything you all have given, the love, unconditional love, trust, all of it, balance. Because pastors, some do not. If you came to our home, you wouldn't have seen nothing different. And I know there's some places it's different when you go to the home life. They loved on us as hard as they loved on you. And for that, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Man. So we're shifting a little bit, and I know we have a lot of the music directors in ministry. Can you share your favorite choir song? Or can you share your favorite choir memory?
My favorite choir song was Order My Steps. And whenever I think of that song, I think about Sister Della V. Bowles. Because every time we sang that song, you could see her order my steps. And when she wasn't able to come as much, we would always go back to that song. And I used to pick her up for church, and sometimes we'd be singing that song in the car. But order my steps in your word. Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
I have two of them. Psalms 27, that, and Pray, the old Tetrick song.
We have a songwriter here also, and I was privileged and honored that she would have me sing some of her songs. And but my favorite, and also Evangelist Griffin writes also. We had a group. Do you remember the group? Do you remember the group?
The sun will shine after a while. Bishop Thompson's mother shared this with me. She said, daughter, he'd be going through the house singing, the sun will shine after a while. Yeah, I felt so good about that.
All in his hands. I think that was the words of the song, but the director of the song. All in his hands. I put it all in his hands, and then the other one would be Minister Johnny on It's Only a Test. Okay? It's only a test you're going through. It's going to be over real soon. And we didn't sing it that much, but on like the second time that we sung that song, something happened up in I think the whole choir, every section, but when those sopranos started hold on, keep the faith.
Like a train. You're like a train on that.
I think I blacked out or something. I don't know what. I never experienced anything like it before, but that choir was just everything.
Anointed.
Yes, and you're talking about, you can see a picture of the choir, you can see the glory of God just resting on us. And I think Thursday was the reason why we were met on Sunday, because sometimes we would have the big circle prayer, and someone would who was really going through would get in the center, and that's why I say that's where I learned how to pray. And I just thank God. It's so many good memories, but it's only a test you're going through. And man, I still remember the sound, in my ears, and something. It was just the Holy Ghost came up in there, and I can't even describe it adequately, but that was my most memorable occasion. It's
Remember
only
our
a
Thursday
test.
prayers, though? When those who didn't like to pray, we were put out there by Evangelist Moore. She said, if you don't know how to pray,
You're about to
open your
learn.
mouth. Whatever comes out, pray. She put you out there.
And another thing with regarding Evangelist Moore, Charlotte, our altar call songs on Sunday, there was one specific song that she sang from the organ, All He Wants Is You. Not just a part, He wants all of your heart. And it was just something about the words. And I don't know, did you write that song, Charlotte? But anyway, when it was sung, it met the need of the heart of those that were sitting. And it always, the response was always so beautiful. All He wants is you. Not just a part, He wants all of your heart. And it was just something so compelling. Because altar call songs should always be different. Yes. They have to be compelling. They've got to be, they have to draw people. You know, I won't get into that. But they have to be drawn. But that song has carried me throughout the years of my life.
One of the other altar call songs that I'm thinking about, and then I'll mention the two songs that I recall that I really liked. One of the other altar call songs was We Offer Christ to You.
Yes, yes.
Because that was another one, like you said, that was drawing. And even when Candy talked about rehearsals, sometimes we didn't practice because we did so much praying. And yet we could get up on Sunday and the Shekinah glory would fall. But God said, you're going to pray on this rehearsal. You're not going to practice. And we were okay to obey God. And whatever God wanted to do, He did. And like you say, people got the help they needed because God knew He was preparing us for Sunday. Two songs that come to my mind. One is Trouble Don't Last Always, because I'm thinking about Jamar Ward. He comes to my mind. He was a little fellow. And I'm hearing it. Can I get a witness? Somebody. You know, he was a little fellow, always could sing, the Ward's son. You know, can I get a witness in the building? That was him. I remember him. And then the other song was our a cappella song, Ride on King Jesus. I love that song. And I was going to say Bishop loved that song. So those are the two that I really just kind of stuck out in my mind. Yes.
And that foundation to follow the leading of the Lord actually came from Bishop.
Yes.
Because Bishop would allow God to have His way in the service. We couldn't roll any other way. There would be not many pastors that would have a speaker in the house, in the person of Tomlin. Remember Tomlin, who came in and wrecked the house because Bishop allowed him to move in his calling, which was calling out spirits, rebuking and binding demons. I mean, we saw some things back in those days. Oh, yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And that was foundation. Bishop wasn't scared of that stuff.
He was not.
Oh, glory.
He was not.
Hallelujah.
He was not.
Foundation.
Yes. I think he was before his time.
Yeah.
Meaning
That's a
what
great
we're seeing, a
possibility.
lot of what we see going on now, he was one of the few in his age that was doing that then.
Absolutely.
Jackie, you said something, and I remember when I went in and I wanted to talk to him and say, I want to do some work in the church, but I don't think I need papers. And he looked at me and he said, okay. Why don't you think you need papers? I said, because I don't want to be a preacher. You know, mind you, I'm a PK, so I don't want to have nothing to do with all that. And so it was interesting because naturally I got my fellowship papers on and on and on. But I remember the Sunday that I preached my one message. He was about keeping people in their lane. I only preached one time in the church, one time at 79 McDowell, and back on the organ I went, working with the music department because that was the assignment I had. And I remember going in the office, preparing to come out to minister that evening for what they call as a trial message. I don't know why they say that, because it ain't like if you don't do it right, you don't have to accept the call. But that's what they called them. But I remember, I said to him, And I didn't say pastor. I said, Daddy, did you know I was going to be a minister? And he looked at me and said, he looked at me and called out every ministry that I am now doing. He mentioned, you're a preacher, you're a teacher. You have the gift of healing. You have the gift of prophecy. You have this, you have that. And I'm looking at him like, he said, I saw all that. I'm not surprised. So he called out, which is what a leader does and should do. He called out everything, and whether he was here to see it or not, he called it out of me, which meant I had no other choice, and I could run around the church right now. I had no other choice than to obey the call of God through what my pastor saw, through what my leader saw in me. It had to come forth. Glory to God. Okay, I'm done.
The songs, the two songs that get me is the first song you had me direct when I first came to Greater Christ Temple, Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. From the bottom of my heart, depths of my soul, I say, yes, Lord. And then the other one was Mother Thompson, Old Cloudy Day. Every time she got up and sung that song, I cried. I was up there and I couldn't hardly contain myself, because when she said, "Oh, cloud," I mean, she sung that. I mean, she sung that, and she got the whole church. I mean, it was like something just went through the whole congregation. Like the Spirit of God just went all the way through the congregation when she opened her mouth and began to sing. It was beautiful. It was, and I would sing that song at home. I would go home and just sing it in my sleep. Old Cloudy Day. I mean, that song is something. It gets you moving. It will.
Beautiful, beautiful.
First of all, y'all might not know, but I'm a praiser. So when you talk about songs, that's in my spirit. And I remember when I came to Greater Christ Temple, tore up from the floor up, and I remember the choir singing. And I didn't know at the time that she would be my wife, and I might be a little biased. But when she would sing, "Come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I think she sung that song that day. I can't remember or not, but it's funny that we were in college around the same time. I lived in one dorm, and she had friends that were personal friends of mine, Todd Bell, Eric Seabrook, and we would enter, and she was there, but we never met in college. Wow. I didn't meet her, and I was in college in 77, but I didn't meet my wife until 84 when I came here. And I mean, when she sings, or even when anything that she does causes me just to break down, because she's just this mighty vessel. When she opens her mouth, the prophetic ministry and her love for the word and for words. When she speaks, it just breaks me down. And the other song that I love is Emmanuel, when the choir sings that song.
Beautiful. I think I have a bonus question. Do we know how many different choirs there were? Because I definitely remember the pastoral choir, praise and worship choir, Sunday school, just several of them. And I know I was in New Dimensions, so that might be the next round of interviews. But we thank God for the music ministry, and we know that for the 50th Jubilee weekend that there will be a concert that Saturday. So we are looking forward to that, and we know that the presence of the Lord will be here. So.
Well, you know,
the Brotherhood Choir, men's choir, women's choir, yes.
You know, the choir wouldn't have been the way it was if it wasn't for tenors.
You got that right.
The tenors.
Okay, the tenor section.
The tenor section would rock. And it was a challenge, because I remember when I got up there, when I finally joined the choir, and I remember Big Brother Wesley Moore on one side and Deacon Nimmons on the other side of me. And I remember looking up to Wesley and up to Deacon Nimmons, and I was like, y'all just don't know. I've been waiting for a challenge. And I just remember we would, especially on It's Only a Test, on that we come in, hold on, be strong. It was like a train, a freight train coming through the service. So yeah, the tenors held it down.
All right, tenors, yes, yes. Okay, just going along with the different ministries of the church, if you have any memories that you would like to share relative to the youth ministry, women's ministry, or men's ministry, however it applies to you. And I know that's kind of come out throughout all the questions, but anything else that stands out that you would like to share about the ministries?
Well, I'll do the men's ministry, starting at 79 McDowell. There was times when it was just trying to, as a pastor, it has been stated that getting or being motivated, to push on, in your ministry as far as men's ministry, because we had to work together. So, as I said before, I shared time with Deacon Belmer because there was times when he wasn't there, so I kind of learned on my own how to run that sound system. So I tried to keep it neat and clean. So whenever he came in, hey, I moved off to the side. So between him and Elder Rogers, who was doing the TV ministry, and things of that nature, I would go out and maybe help him on the camera. So, so he could focus more on some other stuff downstairs or whatever. So working on one another, because I remember when Elder Griffin had just gotten married. So I'm paying attention naturally, him and Sister Griffin now, and he's locking up the church, doing security, coming up to church, taking the alarm system off, and then, he's doing it in the morning and the evening. So I said, well, he wants to probably spend time with his wife. So, and our church is Love and Faith. I don't see nobody volunteering to help him out. So I approached him. I said, Elder, I said, you need some help, doing this alarm system, putting it on and off. I said, we could do it month by month. I said, I'll volunteer. We can do it month by month or every 2 weeks or every other week. So he said, okay. He said, let's do it every other week. So, which, I did. So me and him, he would do it 1 week and I would do it the next week, whatever. We would just kick off, week by week. Or if something would come up that we couldn't be there, the other would fill in. So it was just the love for one another and be able to work with one another. I always loved working with Deacon Lowe. He was driving all the way from Circleville when we was remodeling the church, whenever. The first remodeling when we done, and then the second. We done the first one in 86, I believe, and then the second one was done later on. I think somewhere in the 90s. But I thank the Lord that we was able to work together, work with Deacon Fields. I enjoyed all these brothers. So when you come in and move it, and when I was over at Sunday school, being motivated, because Bishop or District Elder at that time, Thompson, loved it because we started getting out and going to services for Sunday school. And this is pretty much what he wanted. He didn't want to tell me point blank. So I got the message as we were talking. And so we started going out and going to the councils and some of these Sunday school meetings. I started having people come in and delivering maybe a message or something to help out the teachers. So in other words, teachers are always giving, but nothing is ever given back into them. I remember we went to Oxford for a service down there. I was going to say something, or wish I could have got before Sister Griffin had left. But anyway, we rented a van. Elder Harden drove it. We had pretty much all of our Sunday school teachers in. We had the Hardens, Elder Hardens, Evangelist Harden, We had the Griffins. We had Evangelist Mayberry, you know, and on down. So, but the service was lit up. Matter of fact, when we come back, there wasn't nothing but praise in that van all the way back from Oxford, you know, because it was, you know, it was highly spiritual and motivated. And this was something that the bishop wanted, you know, so it wasn't just for, say, for instance, the choir, whether it be or whatever else. He wanted motivation even in the Sunday school, so we started participating in events on the outside and meetings and be able to get into, you know, and be received by the council because we were there.
Well, we are starting to wrap up just because of time, but I did want to ask these last two questions. So just thinking about present day, in one word, can you describe Pastor and Lady Moore?
I would say solid.
I'm going with spectacular.
He's always asking, Pastor, show me your license.
Yeah.
Because of his age.
When I came to church, I watched him grow. I think he might have been 6 years old, maybe 8. So when he comes in here and he brings the word, I would go up to him and say, Pastor, I know I watched you grow up as a young man, but I need to see your license, because there's no way all that is coming out of a person your age. So let me see your license. And that tickles him.
When I see them, I see Bishop and Mother Thompson. I see many, many valuable similarities. I really do, in the both of them. Naturally, you know, Bishop is his grandfather. He mentored him and coached him even when they were preparing for marriage. Not only was his father speaking into their lives for marriage, but he asked his father, do you mind if my grandfather do so? Not knowing that he would one day be the leader here, but he wanted his grandfather to pour into him as well. And this is just real quick. I remember Lady C telling me that at one of the counseling sessions when they were preparing to get married, she said he asked her, do you know who you're marrying? And she said, and I was naturally very giddy. I know him. This is Wayne Moore. You know, she's young. She said, I'm acting like any young, excited young lady would be. And she said, he said to her, he said, you didn't hear what I said. Do you really know who you're marrying? And he began to say to her, you're marrying a pastor. You're marrying of this, you're marrying of that. And she said she literally froze and thought, I never thought about everything. I was excited in the moment, not regretting or saying I've changed my mind, but he gave her a view of who she was marrying and where her life would be going, which I thought was so beautiful. So the fact that he was poured into by his grandfather, when I see them, I'm often thinking of both Bishop and Mother Thompson. I see very much some similarities.
I just, for Pastor Moore, my word would be enraptured. And I say that because he still is awestruck by the move of God. It still blows his mind. You know, he's not tired of it at all. And it's just like a love relationship, you know, that him and God have. And one thing, a couple of Sundays back, the Lord just, I was kind of gazing at him, and I just hear the sound, you know, in my ear. of the bands popping. I know that his mom is right here, but I have a son, and it's oh, hallelujah. I hope she doesn't mind me saying hallelujah. But I thank God because he has just, and I'm thinking about Hannah and giving her son, dedicating him, and I'm thinking about Mary. You know, it's just something about sons, and when I heard the sound, I mean, he just was with God. You know, it's like he had pulled from his mother. Pop. It was a loose, you know, and not that he didn't care anymore, but he wanted to be with the Lord. And it was so beautiful, just the sound, you know. And there just comes a time where I had to stop pouring into my own, you know, and the Lord let me know when that was, because it's something about a son, you know, and I'm always still telling him some things. But on that particular Sunday, there was I mean, he had just pulled past, I mean, every influence, you know, every influence. And it was just him and the Lord alone. So I would say enraptured. And First Lady, I would just say the package, okay? Because God has shown some things that she is to become, and it's in there. She's got leadership all over her. I just, the Lord was just letting me see, not apart, you know, so much to say, from her husband, but there is some, for her identity is very, very unique. And I just say the package. Says when you hear Pastor teach, you know, he opened up something about marriage. He said the husband will get the vision, and then he will download it to his wife, and then she will run with it. And, you know, it just really opened up, you know. He just has a way in his teachings that I appreciate, and like Christ and his bride. So I just honor him and the both together. The Lord has told me, it's not just me. He's to call her First Lady Moore. He corrected me in prayer. Call her. I was praying for her, Carissa, no, and he corrected me. Call her First Lady Moore. And from that point on, I always call her First Lady Moore. In Jesus' name.
I would say word because the word is there, but my other one is humorous. A lot of people don't see that side of him, but I get, every time he talks to me, I get the humorous side.
Any other words? Just to end, in one word, describe what you see for the next 50 years.
You know what? There's a word that came, but you know, there's a word that just came to me, and I know I was just sitting here when you said it. Global. Worldwide ministry, global. Not only reaching people in the seats, not only reaching people through social media, but I see internationally, not just us going there by way of which we're doing beautifully now, social media and internet. But I see even our leader, along with First Lady Moore, along with others in this house who have that imprint of global ministry on them, us touching in areas and going to places we never maybe even imagined, all because of what was foundationally put in this church, Greater Christ Temple, here at 50, the next 50 years. As I say, even if we are not living to see things happen, if God speaks it, it shall happen. So I see this being, Greater Christ Temple being an internationally global, worldwide ministry for so many reasons. I remember Pastor Kelly mentioning concerning Pastor going to colleges and being able to minister at colleges. And some may not know, but when he attended Wright State, he taught Bible classes at Wright State University when he attended there. And when I heard that, my mind went right back to when he was in college. That was not by accident. God was giving him a taste then of what was going to be coming later. But global, that was the word I heard, global.
Yeah, I think that involves everything. Yes, absolutely. So, well, I just am honored that I was here to be able to hear just all the rich legacy, the memories, the history, and what we're building on for the next 50. So this is concludes our first, I hear, of many roundtables that we'll be having with a couple of other generations. So thank you so much for your time and for the words of wisdoms and the memories. So that is the conclusion.